Deputy Kenny.
Thank you, and again, Mr. Power, you're very welcome, and thank you for your contribution. Just a couple of issues. A lot of it has been dealt with. The whole notion of produce moving over and back across the border is a big issue. I come from a border area, and as was said earlier, all the dairy products that are processed in the south that originate in the north, and we have issues for. Same with cattle, that a lot of farmers from the north will come down and buy their weanlings in the south and move them back. There's that movement of I suppose, product up and down is a serious issue that really, people are finding it difficult as to see what's going to happen with it. But on a broader way, the whole movement of goods, because a lot of stuff that leaves Ireland, even if it's not even going to Britain, it goes through Britain to get to the continent. And I've talked to a number of hauliers, and they're extremely concerned as to what's going to happen there, that it's going to put up the price of getting, even not talking about agricultural goods, any goods out of Ireland, that the price of getting them to other places in the world is going to increase dramatically because of this. I suppose the big thing about Brexit, and it struck me from a lot of the talk that we've had in Brexit in this country, a lot of it has been focused on the agricultural sector. But the agricultural sector was the least of the worries in the Brexit debate in Britain, because agriculture represents such a small portion of their overall economy. So while I understand, that there's some notion that maybe there will be a loyalty to the British farmer and all of that, I would concur with you that I would doubt very much if there is going to be anything in that nature. I'd say they'd be more inclined to stick to their own, I suppose, line of trying to find exports of other goods to other places around the world, and the other, I suppose, major industrial concerns that they have in Britain. On a slightly broader issue, I'm just wondering as well, while we are trying to grapple with what Brexit means, the whole European project, and it points to the problems that are there, and I suppose the politics of fear and anger and resentment and all these things that we see, not just in Europe but in America as well and all over the world, that it brings us to a place where we could be looking at perhaps the euro being in a crisis and collapsing. Should we be preparing for that? And indeed, the whole EU project and where it's going to go, and that in 10 to 15 years we could be looking at more countries looking to leave. And how can we prepare, or what can we do around that? I'm not saying these things are going to happen, but they are becoming more likely. And it's something that I think we need to look at. And I suppose it's related to that, and it's the statistic you quoted earlier on, that in the last 8 years, the drop in the price of food in this country, the cheap food is becoming the norm and the high expectation of consumers. That, to me, is the biggest problem that we have globally. Because as long as consumers think that food is something that should be cheap, we've got a problem for the producers of food, and we've got a problem for society, because as it gets cheaper, the quality of it goes down and down and down, and usually there's more and more profiteering in the middle. And I think I know they are slightly away from Brexit, but they're issues that I think we really need to be looking at and trying to deal with. And we need to be looking at the whole thing of, if food is something that's vital for life, and it clearly is, it's something that should be at a reasonable cost for people to have to pay for, to have good food and have a reasonable chance of living a long life and a healthy life. So I think that needs to be reflected in the payment that the primary producer, and indeed that the people that work in the industry, get for it.